What we're going to go into today is we're going to explore the idea and we're going to show you a practical example around how cannabis is not only a medicine, but how cannabis is a tool for the enhancement of your focus, your productivity, and your concentration. Basically, we're talking about how can cannabis be integrated into your life if you are studying, if you're working, if you're a creative, or we're all just going through different phases where the capacity to just keep pushing and pushing and pushing whatever role you're in to keep that intensity up, to meet that deadline, to be able to do less with more. Everyone's familiar with these things. And what we see at the same time is we see there's a whole big mental health crisis that's still emerging, right? And still not being addressed. And while they may not have direct parallels to one another, the stress associated with I know I'm procrastinating. I know I'm procrastinating, but I don't know what to do. And then I get distracted. And then something else goes along inside the office or inside the house. Does that resonate with you? Some of those procrastinators out there? I think, I think there's a few of us that know what that is like. And if that is something for you, or there's just that capacity to go, how do you just keep turning up? How do you just keep showing up and tapping into that zone? Now, I'm talking about this because I'm preparing for some tasks today, and I'm very certain that I'm going to be able to get the result that I desire. And that desire is I have a big block of work that I need to complete. It's what is kind of considered deep work. So you really need to go into this zone, and I need to spend around 3 hours of concentration. And I know I need to get there. And before I come on and continue a little bit more, I can imagine some of you would be like, oh, you don't need to use anything to enhance yourself. Like, why are you advocating for this? This is developing bad habits. You're entitled to your opinion around that. What I'm talking about is performance enhancement over a longer period of time. I'm not saying to do this all the time, right? There's obviously a disclaimer that's going to come up, but there's certain tasks. It's a Friday for me. I've cleared the rest of my calendar. I know I'm getting into deep focus. And I just thought, you hear so much around, oh, I'm procrastinating. I haven't got this done. And so I just thought, why don't I show you how successful this has been for me? And maybe you can take something from this. Like, as I said, you don't need to be studying. Maybe this could just be for your leisure. Maybe you enjoy focusing on tasks for a long period of time, but that becomes increasingly difficult. Or as mentioned before, you are studying, you are at work, you are a creative, you want to get a business started. Whatever it is that you're focusing on, let's dive into how we can share some of our knowledge with you today, and then give us some feedback about whether or not this has been helpful for you. This is all about cannabis as an enhancement tool for your focus and concentration. Let's get into it. And you see at the moment, like I don't have a lot of focus, and it's not that I'm out of focus and I'm like, oh no, and I'm putting myself into a situation. I just know I haven't got started. I know I need to get into a fairly big chunk of work. So my productivity is pretty low and my focus is pretty low at the moment. And so very simply, I'm now utilizing this dosing diary, and I'm going to click next. And now I've got the titration clock, which is going. So that titration clock is underway and is going. Okay, so you've seen me go to that dosing diary. Let me tell you a little bit about why I've gone to that to be able to help me get to the point that I want, which is to finish a piece of work. Because you could just be like, well, what's the point of that? Right. So what I've done, I've dosed at a certain level. You saw it, I've taken 0.5 of a 20 to 1, and it's a 21 THC to CBD, right? I've done that in a way where I'm now going to go, okay, I've started my dosing diary. I know what destination I need to get to. Let's break down 3 key points around why is it important to do that. Firstly, let's think about structure, right? So If you have trouble getting into the zone, if you have trouble procrastinating, often there's a lot of things that goes along around you and it takes your attention. So I've placed my phone on do not disturb. I've cleaned everything outside of my office. So I'm in a place where I'm ready to go. Yeah. So I've created that structure to say, I need to get this done. I've been able to take a small amount of cannabis to be able to support me over the next period of time while it titrates. I've cleared my environment. I'm in the structure. I've got the structure built around me. Now it's around, okay, what is now going to be my intention around this? So my intention is I know what I need to get done and I know how I'm going to feel to enjoy my weekend if I get this piece of work completed rather than not completing it. So my intention is simply, I must get this done. And I'm putting that inside, I'm putting that on myself to be able to ensure that I can deliver what I've said I'm going to deliver. I'm confident I'm going to do it. Now, the biggest thing that comes along with that as well is, well, I've got my intention and then my structure. So what else is going to go alongside that? As mentioned, I got the right dose and I've tested before in my dosing diary. So I do know that it's going to get me to the right zone. It's not going to tip me into a place where productivity and focus is going to go the other way and not going to be helpful. I've also got my headphones on. So I know that I'm going to have some music playing without any vocals. It's just instrumental at the moment, which is coming through to support me to continuously stay in the zone. I had a little bit of food before, so I'm not going to be hungry. I had a tea, which contained a range of different Peruvian supplements, which are all natural, all organic. They all are stimulants as well. So what we're going to be noticing is a lot of the different effects are going to start being felt and going to support me to get into my zone. The other and final thing is it's the power of habit. So I've done this over 900 times. I've used that dosing diary over 900 times. And I know that I'm going to get to a point at the end of this where I'm going to get the result. So the very fact that I've set myself up in a way which is consistent with my habit and I'm dosing at the right level, I'm leveraging the technology from OnTracker with the dosing diary to ensure that there's this timer that's going on, because I know the effects are going to start probably around that hour and 42-hour mark, I would say. And by that time, I'm going to be already halfway through, 3/4 of the way through, and everything will continue to push me on. And I may get lost for around 6 hours, and I'll be very happy when I tap out. This is what we are doing right now, and we will be feeding back. So stay tuned to see how we go throughout this session. So I've got the result. It's time for me to check back in, rescore myself as I will do right now. And let's see what the difference is. So focus, I've had pretty high focus. I know my productivity has been really good as well. It's like a 9. Is there anything else that I feel at this stage? I think you could probably say like 2. I am getting a little hungry as well. I'm not going to allow that to come and have an effect on me just yet, though, because I don't want to stop. So I'm going to come in. That was just right. And I got elevated and I had clear thinking. So I'm going to finish that up. There were no side effects, so I'm going to complete. So the results of this exercise are very, very clear. As you can see here, focus is up, productivity is up, appetite's been activated, and slight euphoria, which is actually not a side effect, not an impairment, but a performance enhancing tool as indicated at the start of this session. What we've done today is used a dosing diary to give you an understanding about how you can leverage our technology, which is called OnTracker, plus get your dosing right to ensure that you don't have those days where you procrastinate. It then leads to anxiety, it leads to stress, it leads to depression. But you're able to overcome that and build success in your days and in your weeks so that you can live higher. That's what it's all about. It's a different way of us shooting this podcast this week. Hope you get some value out of it, and we would love to see what you think. Thank you very much.